investor perspective, what they really look for in a sourcing agent. Let's forget about the investors that say compliance and knowledge doesn't matter as long as the deal stacks. Let's just set those aside for the moment. Let's have a think about what the average investor would hope the sourcing agent has in their knowledge bank. So the first one will be that you know that geographical area well, the town, even as close as the streets potentially. How well do you know that geographical area? I know that a lot of deal packages package up for the whole of the UK, but have never visited them. If that is what an investor wants to look at and they're experienced enough to assess it and they know the area, then all well and good. Where it comes apart is where the investor is inexperienced, they don't know the geographical location, and neither does the agent that is selling on a deal. So how well do you know your geographical area? Are you spreading yourself too thin? Are you trying to cover too much ground? Knowing a geographical area well means that when you come to have conversations about it, the investor immediately knows that you know what you're talking about and you know the area well because you know everything about it. So ask yourself, how well do you know the geographical areas that you say you're sourcing in? The next important topic is the investment strategy that you're going to source for. How well do you understand and know the strategy? A lot of deal packages and sourcing agents say that they source for anything, but how knowledgeable are they to be able to assess a deal based on any strategy? If an investor is looking for service accommodation or for HMOs or a standard buy-to-let or commercial conversions, whatever it is that they're looking for, how good is your knowledge on that strategy and what is the key important information that that investor would need to be able to see to make an informed choice as to whether that strategy would work and in that location? The next question is, do you understand any local rules that are relevant to the property and the strategy? For argument's sake, is there selective licensing? Is there a good landlord licensing scheme? Is it an Article 4 area? Is there a lot of student accommodation in the area? What are the rules and regulations around those? Do you understand, if you're going to source for HMRC, what standard the local HMO officer is expecting of you for those HMOs? Do you understand what standard spec is expected upon any refurbishment for a HMO? Do you understand the ins and outs of serviced accommodation? Does it work in that area? Is it permitted in that area? All of these questions, all of these local rules relevant to any property and strategy that you're going to source for, do you have a really good knowledge of them? Can you put together a decent presentation with all relevant material information? So if you're unsure what material information is, have a look on Rightmove, just for general advertisements for properties. And now Rightmove has been adjusted to take into account material information. And what has been stated are upfront information that should be provided. So what type of upfront information should you be providing? Have a look on Rightmove at the sales information for any property in the areas that you are going to source for, or anywhere in the UK, basically. If it says consult the agent, technically the information is supposed to be provided, but asking the agent is one of the options that they can use when they're publishing on Rightmove. But a lot of the information that you should provide, yes, is relevant to that property for a sale, even if someone's buying it to live in it. But also relevant information will be relevant to that investor and the strategy they're going to use it for. We talked before about local rules. Is there an Article 4 area in that location? Is your investor going to be buying it to convert to a HMO? Is the landlord licensing? Things like, is it leasehold? Is it freehold? Is it in a flood zone? If it's leasehold, is there a ground rent on it? How much is it? How long is of the leases left? Don't forget that just because you're packaging up and selling a deal to an investor does not mean that material information about that property isn't important. It is all important and should be included in a decent presentation. That presentation should allow the investor to go off and do their own due diligence, but provide them with enough information, if they're not quite as experienced as some investors, that it gives them all the information that they need about stuff that you wouldn't necessarily find on Rightmove from an estate agent selling to a person who's going to live in it. But we, as agents representing the buyers, should absolutely include it. Don't make promises that you can't keep. And this is a really big one, because a lot of sourcing agents and deal packages state that they can manage refurbs. They've got no experience of refurbs. They've never done one. They've no idea how to do one. They've no idea around health and safety on the site. Don't tell someone that you'll be able to find them 5 deals every week and send them to them, because the likelihood is that you probably won't be able to do, at least not that meets what they are looking for. So let's be realistic and not make promises that we can't keep. Never tell lies. Always be honest. Even if it loses you a potential investor, that's up to them, but never tell lies. Eventually, you'll get caught out. The investor needs to feel that they can work with you over the long term. What an investor wants is someone to keep bringing deals to them that are relevant to them, that are niched for them, that are specifically geared to represent what they want. So you're showing a deal that reflects the figures that they are looking to achieve, because it does reflect those figures. So they want to build a long-term relationship. And as far as you're concerned, long-term is much better than trying to sell a new deal to a new investor. It's much, much easier to sell multiple deals to one investor than it is one deal to multiple different investors. So work on building that long-term relationship, and you will find that you will sell more deals in that way and build up a better relationship and get word of mouth recommendation. They want to feel that you set up and you operate professionally. At the end of the day now, a lot of investors are aware that a lot of investors are losing cash to unscrupulous sourcing agents. So the reputation of the sector, shall we say, is really, really poor. So if you can prove that you set up and you operate professionally, it's a really good starting point for that initial conversation with a prospective client. And last but not least, they feel that you're not just wanting a large fee up front, which probably will be non-refundable, or you say is refundable, you're not holding it legally, and they have nothing to show for it because you can't keep the promise that you made, because actually it's much more difficult than you thought. So have a think about that large fee structure up front and how you're going to structure it, and think about it as if you were the investor. Would you want to pay £3,000, £5,000, £7,000, £10,000 up front without even knowing what the full details of the deal are, and being told that you've only got a few days to assess it, and by the way, it's not refundable either or way? So have a think about all of these things. Have a look at how you're currently operating your business, or how you thought you were going to set up and operate, and then maybe have a rethink and a restructure. I look forward to seeing you again at the same time next Tuesday.